Hey guys, it's Julie from Plan to Create. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. I have been using a new system. I wanted to just kind of walk you guys through it because I am kind of mixing and matching a lot of things and it just is easier to explain on a video. So starting off, I am using this beautiful cover from Inkwell Press. I went ahead and I purchased their cover, their discs, and I purchased their monthly inserts. So I like that you can separate it out. You don't have to get their month and weekly. They do have packages that include both, but I just chose to just do the monthly. Then I am also using Hemlock and Oak weekly pages. I discovered those like last month and I went ahead and I purchased them for the whole year of 2025, kind of in preparation, thinking that there's something that I will use for 2026 for a planner and a creative journal, quite frankly, because then I don't have to tear apart a book. It's the same great paper and a size that is super similar to what I've been using. All that to say, I have kind of just pulled together mix and match things. I've been purchasing a few of the Happy Planner Classic size things from Cloth and Paper. I love that that's available. I feel like I've been using kind of an off size here in my creative journal. You can see that it's just ever so slightly smaller. So it's only 8 discs instead of 9. And so it's just been kind of I've had to try to create my own covers and it's just been a little bit harder than I needed to make it. So that's another reason why I would like to use this size next year, because I feel like there are materials and covers and things available for me. I will not have to be recreating the wheel. So let's just dive in here. I have this inbox from Cloth and Paper. It probably still has a little cover on it. I haven't taken it off, so if it looks kind of funny, I don't know if they do that anymore, but anyway, yeah, it's on there. Okay. I have gone ahead and created kind of a yearly overview for 2026. I am just, like I said, really considering this size going in the future, but I'm trying to realize, like, okay, what are some things that I've enjoyed in previous planners that I would like to include here? And this yearly overview is something that I got used to in the Hobonichi Cousin. I think even the Aura Estelle had this last year. And it's a nice way for me to track a few things that I like to keep track of. And I'm dying over all this space. It's just like, oh, I love it. So I went ahead and created that for 2026, have it in there. I like this overview as well. It's a great spot to just start marking off some things that you think are upcoming and kind of a way to, you know, for my brain to start to wrap my head around those things. I don't do that naturally. My planner is a tool for me to help me think through and think ahead. This little setup is really new to me. I purchased it mid to late August. So you're just gonna see I'm kind of barely tipping my toes here in August. I struggled. So that's the one thing. When I purchased this, I didn't even pay attention to the fact that it was a Sunday start. I have not dealt with a Sunday start planner for so long. I don't know what, it escaped me. I didn't even think of it. And if I tilt this, I don't know if you guys could see, but there's a lot of whiteout on these pages because I kept writing things in the wrong column. I am so used to this being like Wednesday and Thursday. I'm really used to this being Saturday and Sunday. So when I would think about something for the weekend, I was forever just writing things all over in the wrong spot. I think I'm getting better. I did draw this little slight dashed line here to kind of just remind me like, hey, this is Monday. I don't know, I needed a little clue there. I felt like I should just cross off the entire Sunday, like never mind, no plans for Sunday. You're only dealing from here to here. But I think that my brain can get used to it, but I also posted that on Instagram recently and I went ahead and tagged Inkwell Press and just made a comment like, you know, wondering if they would consider making a Monday start for next year. They were actually open to the idea. I don't know if it'll happen, but I thought that was so awesome that they were like, yeah, that's actually a good idea, you know? So, hey, I will be watching for that and I will be first in line if that is available. If they don't offer that, I might consider making my own because it is bothersome to me. Like I really like their pages though. I love their paper. I think that they've really minimalized like their color schemes. This is barely colorful, but it's just like just enough to give it a little bit of personality. So I don't know. I think they nailed the design. If they do a Monday start, I will be very happy. And I will definitely use that for 2026. They include kind of a notes and ramblings. And then here you can see I go into the weekly for the Hemlock and Oak. And like I said, I purchased it late in August. I think I intended to back plan these, but life. And so this is actually like the first real week that I ended up in there. And I just am loving the space. I absolutely love it. I love the paper from the Hemlock and Oak and the Inkwell Press. I am sick of dealing with Tomoe River paper. Like I don't know, everyone loves it and I don't. So there's that. Like I feel like I can use it. I made it work, but I just felt like I was always kind of struggling against it. And this just, I don't know, there's something about it. It's smooth, it's just forgiving. I don't intend to stamp a lot on my pages, but if I want to, I love that I don't have to worry about it. I can put ink on here and go. So I don't know, just in the space, like I will also say, like, I don't feel like I have to use every inch of this planner. I do not have to fill every inch. It's here for me, and personally, I just love the wiggle room. I love the open space. It doesn't bother me at all to have blank spots, and it kind of gives me a true representation of what my week, my time was like. And sometimes you'll see in the weeks ahead, like I'll start to fill those blanks with some decoration and stuff, but it's always after the fact. I wanted to point out that the inkwell press is really close to Happy Planner Classic size, but it is actually 7 by 9. So 7 inches by 9, whereas a true Happy Planner size, I believe, is 7 by 9 1/4. So I have been trimming down the hemlock and oak like a tiny, an eighth of an inch, I guess you would say, on each side, or top and bottom, and making that work. And I would continue to do that. That's not a deal breaker for me at all. I'm fine with that because I'm also just so in love with this cover that I would do anything to make it work. So there's that. I did want to mention that though, and then I also just wanted to mention the GSM. Dang it, I didn't write either of them down. You know, refer to my notes. I'll mention that in the notes because I know that the GSM is high for each of these, and I'm curious if it's similar because they are similar in the feel. And then of course I use, when I print my own things, I use the HP 32-pound premium paper. It's not as luxurious as these. I feel like I could deal with a little bit more like colors coming through or shadowing on this if I were to stamp. But like I said, I don't intend to stamp a lot on these pages, particularly not in like a tracking sheet. So not a big deal. So that's kind of the lay of the land there. Okay, so I bought these tabs from Cloth and Paper. It just says schedule. I think there was one for notes and finances, but I actually ended up cutting those down to work for this book because it's so hard for me to find covers. So I literally cut off the side tabs, trimmed them down a smidget, and I'm using it as a cover for this creative journal. And now I'm honestly gonna have to go back and repurchase because I do think I want to have a notes and like a finances section because I am like including a few more things in the back. So shame on me, shouldn't have gotten so impetuous, but there we are. So that's kind of how I'm using this mission board. I do feel like a few minutes here kind of brainstorming under these categories is a great practice. I purchased this stencil on Etsy. It's from Creative Planner Vibes. It was so funny. My daughter sent me a reel on Instagram, and it was this gal using her stencils in her planner. And I was like, how am I not following her? And how did my daughter find her before I did? What the heck? But it was really, she just has some really good content, some, you know, great ways that she shows how to use these in her planner. I'm still a little bit scared of like doing the whole squares and things, but I definitely used it for the check marks, and I thought that they're really cute and they fit that space well. I think like 3 things each month is about as much as I can handle, and I really liked this little rounded edge square. That's the one I used primarily, except for those, and I would use circles and the squares next month. I'm not planning to use the triangles. I usually clip this tab to my current month so that I can find it easily here. And I like that I can see through that. I can reference these. I don't need to have access to them to write on there per se throughout the month. I usually do it at the front of the month, but I like that I can see that. I'm also using these little sticker tabs. They are from Scosh Paper Co. on Etsy. And you know, once the month is over and I'm not clipped, then I can still find my month with those tabs. So got those through the end of the year. But this gives you kind of an example of the current month. Again, I drew like that slightly dashed line. I'm enjoying using some of these cloth and paper flags, and the fact that there's like still wiggle room kind of around the edges is just so, I feel like it's so luxurious. I have so much space. It's like sleeping by myself on a king size bed. It's just like, whoa, the sprawl, it's real and I love it. I also have recently just been dabbling my toes in Happy Planner stickers. I don't know, I'm kind of like determined to make those work some way, somehow. I generally do not like all of the stickers in the packets. You know, you get some that you like and some I'm just like, no. But I also purchased them on sale. So they were all at least 40% off. I think this one was maybe 70% off. It was kind of crazy. Like, yeah, the reading one. These were all 40% off. So I thought, Do I like 60% of the stickers? That's all I'm paying for basically. And I think I could make that work. So you're gonna see these pop up a little bit here on my pages, probably a little bit more even in my creative journal, because I'm kind of challenging myself to like take something that I might not normally use and try to use it. But yeah, this gives you an idea of how I'm using the monthly, and then I just go into the weeks. And I'm, again, just really liking this space. I am divvying this out very similar. So if you are in a vertical weekly, you know, that's kind of the cool thing about inspiration from others, is that you can look at this and no matter what size you're in, a B6, a Hobonichi A5, you know, that vertical week, if you're in a sterling ink, you can kind of get this, take the same concept and apply it to yours. Personally, I can't recommend how awesome it is to have the space. And I do need to say, I don't carry this around. This is not something I take with me to run errands or to do anything. It stays at home on my desk, surrounded by some little supplies that I like to use in it. Ooh, I did carry it to the couch the other night and I loved it. It was literally like carrying a desk. Like, it was such a sturdy, nice thing. I had no issue writing on it on my lap. I loved it. It was portable in that sense, but it doesn't leave my house. And like I said, these are the hemlock and oak inserts that you can purchase directly from their shop. They come pre-punched. Just so slick. I don't know why I've been making it harder than that all this time. And I chose those over the inkwell press, I think primarily because I like my sidebar on this side. I believe the inkwell press maybe has a sidebar over here, and I have gotten very accustomed to that. You know, it's similar to the month. In my perfect world, it's like sidebar, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all across the board. That would just be amazing. And like I said, I'll make it happen for myself if I have to, but I'm really hoping that Inkwell Press will offer that next year. And honestly, Hemlock and Oak, I think that they offer monthlies, and they do that, the sidebar Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I kind of liked the break, but that is something I could also consider. I like the little strip of color on these. I think that they just add up a little, you know, they notch it up a bit, but it is going to be a deal breaker for me, the Sunday versus Monday start. We'll see if I can make it through this year, and hopefully I don't get used to it by the end of this year and then have to reteach myself next year. I can't imagine that, because to me, my brain wants this. It wants sidebar Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But yeah, I think I'll go back to like the fact that this is just the general format that I have been using primarily on my Hobonichi Cousin, in my Aura Estelle, in all the formats. If I'm in a vertical situation, I'm typically dividing out my day. I don't need, you know, all those hours for my schedule, so I just chop it off. This is more of like a to-do list, and I have like a little bit of space here along the bottom that if I post on Instagram or do some type of social media, then I include that. I like to include it in a box so that I can easily find that. And then the bottom here, I have just been dividing, and I'm kind of like writing highlights from the day, like something that I maybe haven't had a chance to put in my journal yet that I want to include, or just, you know, if I feel like writing down a moment or a gratitude or anything about the day. That's kind of the space for it. Something I can refer back to, like I said, if I'm finishing up a creative journal page, or I can just enjoy looking at it in here. This page was last week, so I am very fresh in this planner. It's a pretty new system, but I'm just, like I said, I'm loving the space. I'm going to give you a real quick peek at this week. So it is Wednesday today, and you can see kind of what my week starts off looking like. And then you can see how I just start to incorporate little bits and pieces. I'll add in things when I feel like I have space for them. They definitely don't arrive first. I'd kind of hold off and see what type of space I have after the day is over, generally, or kind of when I have a better feel for how my day is going to go. So I'm just not a pre-decorator. You can see I accidentally drew the lines there. I didn't really want to. I meant to do them down there. So, you know, I'm still kind of finding my way, and I haven't included my week number this week yet. So I kind of need to do that. I would like to throw that in there, and looks like I have space, so I'll get that in there even though it's not in the sidebar. I love using the bigger size because it's even more bold and just more obvious. That makes me happy. Here's an example of me throwing down a stamp. I did a 30-day streak on my Duolingo. I'm refreshing French. I took it in high school, and anyways, 30-day streak, wrote that down, and I was like, oh, I have the perfect little stamp to highlight that. So I felt like that's fun for me to be able to just come in, do it, and not give a thought to whether or not anything bled through. So here's the current week, and like I said, it just starts off pretty sparse unless it's a busy week, but usually we're kind of in charge of filling our own time around here. No kids that are dictating our schedules, so we kind of do it ourselves. Today is a nice day. The sun is actually shining, so that is why I can film this. I feel like I have enough light, but right after this I'm heading outside to do some more planting and mulching and just a lot of garden projects going on. So gonna get out there, and I thought we would have to wait till Sunday to plant some trees, but gonna try to get some in today. So I feel like that has good space for me to write notes. I have a whole nother note page here that I was just referring to for this video. Notes that I had taken about this planners that I wanted to say. And then I do love this because of the format. I kind of have an idea that I'm probably going to draw my line around 6 p.m. So even as I plan forward, you know, if something is kind of happening after 6, I'm deciding, like, do I go ahead and just write it right above there so that I can, you know, kind of keep that same format. This is kind of still just like my lists, and then this will be kind of eclectic notes, whatever I want it to be. But I am going ahead and, you know, adding in some things that I know are pretty solid. Otherwise, I'm sticking them on sticky notes. So I'm enjoying that. And I guess I haven't done a ton of forward planning, probably more on the months. Yeah. So that works for me. I don't like to dive into the weeks too soon because things do change for us. We're sort of fluid. And as annoying as it is, it's kind of nice too. So I did start off writing with my Pilot friction pen, and I'm not a huge fan. I feel like when I go to erase, it creates like a mark, it creates an indent. So the next day, you know, it's pushing through a little bit in that space, or the next page. Not a huge fan. So I have it, occasionally I'll use it. I thought I was gonna solely use it in my planner, but I don't know. I guess I'd rather just scratch something out at this point, or highlight or white out. I do kind of question whether or not I'll come through and add a little bit of deco on these pages, but for right now, I like the streamlined crispness of this, and I'm kind of okay with it not being too cluttered up. Having said that, I love this too. So I will say I do reserve the majority of the craziness for my creative journal. And it was funny, I took a picture because it's like, this is my current week. This was yesterday and Monday, and then today's Wednesday. And it's like such a difference, you know, like all clean and crisp and all just crazy and trying new things. But that's what I want this book to be. It's like I took some packaging from my Happy Planner stickers, and I used the reverse of the, you know, the stickers are technically just these strips, but I used the reverse of it, and I just figured out how to do it. I basically plunked this down, didn't have a clue what I was going to do, but you know, I figured out how to use it for both circumstances. And I just think that that's kind of what I want this book to be, is a place where I have to stretch a little bit. And sometimes I don't love the way it turns out, like this page is mids. This is cuter. I don't know. It's just still fun. I should probably stamp this stamp like down here. I could still read my handwriting. That'd be kind of cute too. So it's not just such a blank space. But yeah, I enjoy playing around with it. And then today is off to a nice crisp start, and we'll see what happens. So I just wanted to give you guys kind of that simple walkthrough. Last month I showed you guys this little guy, and it's like such a crazy jump to go down to this little tiny passport size, and then to spread back into this is like, it couldn't be a bigger contrast probably. And I know, you guys, I destroy everything. Like nothing is like safe. But I thought that if I was going to keep this, the big thickness of the cover, hold on, it's really thick. Like I can't explain it, but it's a really thick cardboardy situation, and it could get into this planner, but I didn't feel like it closed well. It was like really stretching the clasp. It just didn't barely want to clasp. So I was like, well, what if I took it out? And I would, like, if I were to continue using this, I would cover that with some cute pattern paper and then buy a little passport size plastic cover. I would definitely have done that eventually. But I really thought that, like, as far as like how much space I need in a planner, this is probably ample space. You can see, remember you guys when I poured my water, I spilled my water on it and it made a mess. It was so frustrating. It crinkled up these pages, but like they're fine. They survived. I used this for a few weeks. And like I said, this is ample space. Like I don't need this much space, but I love having this much space. I love that there's space in the margins. I love that stickers have like margin around them. So that's just kind of where I'm at. My dad keeps a tiny little planner in his front pocket. He is so cute, and it's for the whole year, and probably like not even half of this, you know, it's so minimal and thin. And I was kind of like, maybe I could do that. I could be like my dad. And nah, I really felt like writing in here is very tedious. You know, you don't get to have your whole hand. I have big hands, that kind of stuff. It just got to me. So I think that the Crefective paper, this is from Crefective paper, I feel like she has some of the most beautiful designs. I love her aesthetic. I just think it's so crisp and cool, and I couldn't say more about like how much I love the design. I think she has really nice, also thick paper. It's not the thin. It is creamier. Can you guys tell the difference between that? This is white, this is creamier. It's kind of a marshmallow cream or something, marshmallow paper. Not my favorite. I like the crisp white better. But yeah, I mean, I gave this a good run. I tried. I even added these cute little tabs from Lightly Inked to do the months. They're perfect, cute little tabs. And I was all set up thinking I could do this. But the bottom line is too, is I like to add and edit into a planner. And so book bounds rarely end up being something that I love. Like I said, I want to add my own tracker in the front, and in the back I just recently added my password tracker, and I like being able to throw stuff like that into a planner and that I can just punch this and throw them in. I have not filled out all of my information yet, so obviously I did a few little things, and so I covered those. I do have, like I said, so I am going to order those cloth and paper dividers again so that I can have a place to flip to this better once I get it all moved in and need to access it. I will appreciate having a tab for that. So that's to come and kind of always evolving, but yeah, really enjoying this. So just wanted to share, kind of let you know. I feel bad because I feel like I requested the disc options from Hemlock and Oak, and then there I was like taking their beautiful books apart like for the last 3 years. And I know that this has been available at least in 2025 and maybe even 2024. So kind of kicking myself that I didn't really figure that out sooner. I don't know if it just wasn't a big announcement or I wasn't paying attention, but I'm definitely watching for that now for them to release this. She said it should be coming soon. Didn't give me exact dates, which is fine, but I will be ordering that and kind of getting that set up because yeah, having this just lay on my desk flat is another thing. I did order a B6 from Hemlock and Oak thinking I would use their B6. I would not take it apart, but I'm lying to myself. I love that this lays flat. I love this space. This is definitely just perfect for me. So if you love this idea too, I get questions a lot about like, how did you get your discs, you know, where did you get those punched, blah, blah, blah. So if you're interested in looking into this for yourself, I do have a coupon code. It's, I think, Julie K10. I will put it below and maybe even add the text here. I think that it's definitely worth looking into and let them know that I sent you. I don't get a commission off that. I ask them to just take it for themselves. I don't want a commission, but when you guys use my code and like the link that I include below, I do get some of the reward points. So I can save dollars off my future purchases when you purchase through my link, and then you get 10% off and the company gets my commission because I would just want the small company to get the most for their money. I feel like, you know, they're doing great things out there and I just want to reward them for that. So all that to say, I really appreciate you stopping by. I do hope to get into a more regular practice with filming. I finally feel settled. I would like to share a little bit more of my creative journal, kind of the process of it and how I pull it together. So, you know, let me know if that's something you're interested in. I could do a little kind of catch up if you guys want to see what I have in here so far. And I do kind of need to explain some things because I got a big mix of stuff. Again, like, comment below if that's something you'd want to see, and I can make it happen. Thank you for being here. Say hello in the comments and let me know kind of what you're up to and maybe what you're thinking about doing for 2026 if you have given any thought to it. I've purposely ignored a lot of the planner talk because and I'm happy for other people who get excited for it and are enjoying that, but I just don't need to entertain too much else. You know, I kind of just feel like just stay in your happy spot, just enjoy your thick paper and all the luxurious space. So that's what I'm gonna do. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up, but until next time, you guys take care.